What is cracking, fam? What is going on? How are we doing today? What's what's going on in 49er land today? Not a whole lot, right? Not a whole lot going on today as the 49ers are on the East Coast. They're at the Greenbrier. They're enjoying their time, practicing and doing all that good stuff. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day as well. I'm having a great day. We're on a little later, actually, a lot later than we normally are. Um, but I figured we just keep this one light and definitely be a big interactive type episode today. Looking for what you guys want to talk about, things like that. Of course, we can link before the game. I'm always out there. I'm out and about. You probably have a better a better time trying to hunt me down than the opposite way around. But I'm always down to say what's up. So what's up, all the people out here? Rained all day in New York. I could use some rain out here in California. I'm not gonna lie. What's up, everybody? So what do you guys want to talk about? Obviously, if you come on, bro, why are you even here? So we talked a lot about the whole Aiyuk situation yesterday. So I don't know how in depth we want to go on that today, or if we really want to rehash it, or if we do want to talk about it. It's up to you guys. I don't really have much of a preference. But based on everything that's come out of practice, at least today, it appears that Kinlaw and Emmanuel Mosley still aren't practicing, so it's trending towards those two not being available. Again, of course, it's still really early in the week, so they could show up to practice tomorrow or potentially on Friday, which changes a lot of stuff. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on, all that good stuff. Oh, that's right. We had also claimed Trenton Cannon. I actually like this pickup. I don't mind this pickup at all. I like Trenton Cannon. I've been monitoring him for probably about a year or so because of my interest in dynasty fantasy football. So he's always someone that's been kind of hanging on the waiver wire. Always someone that I've been keeping my eye on as a backup running back to Christian McCaffrey. But the fact that the 49ers got him and to kind of back up his story, he was cut and released from Carolina Panthers. He was just recently added to the Ravens when the Ravens went through that entire situation. And then he was recently released. He even got to play in that Monday Night Football game against the Raiders. But overall, I like Trenton Cannon. He is definitely faster, I would say, quicker than Kerryon Johnson. He definitely fits more of that zone read mold of like a Breida or a Elijah Mitchell. Obviously, not as I don't think he's as fast, but kind of same style runner in that regard. We got to talk about Brandon and Sanu's playing time, honestly. What specifically do we want to talk about in that regard? What do we want to talk about in regard to Aiyuk and Sanu's playing time? Clearly, at least in my opinion, it feels like there is more to the situation than just an injury protocol ramp up. Because I feel like if that's what it was, that's all that would have been said. But right now, Sanu is the veteran in that locker room. Clearly, he's done everything right this offseason, and the 49ers are rewarding him with the first crack heading out to the roster. So I don't know. What do you want to talk about in regards to their playing time? Obviously, I think all of us in the 49ers universe would definitely lean towards playing Brandon Aiyuk ahead of Mohamed Sanu. Even though we may like Mohamed Sanu, it's clear, at least from my opinion and my viewpoint, that Brandon Aiyuk is absolutely the superior talent at this point in his career. But there are some other things at play, um, and all that good stuff. My opinion, Eric wants to know, could Lance really not do what Jimmy did on Sunday? Absolutely. So the biggest thing with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, and kind of what I'm starting to take away from the situation is, it's not that Trey Lance can't operate and play day one as a rookie. I believe he can. I believe he can. I believe you guys know I was really thought he was capable of starting week one. I really thought that he had the ability to do well if he were to start week one, with his ability to run the offense on top of his own specific offense. Is though, which is always something that's a little bit underrated. And I know I've heard, I forget which offensive lineman talked about it, but someone did. It was just like how they spit out the call in the huddle, how what the cadence is like at the line of scrimmage, all those different kinds of things. I think it's actually like the smaller things, and the people put weight to and that communication has to go through you, and you have to be able to spit it out correctly, clearly, so each position group knows what their responsibility is on the play. Be able to say it loud, be able to say it confidently, be able to repeat it, be able to clarify. Line up, you need to be able to tell them. So I think maybe it's just small. I think Kyle Shanahan would make it work. Absolutely. I think it wouldn't be too difficult, but you have Jimmy Garoppolo here. Jimmy Garoppolo has clearly elevated his level of play. His teammates have come behind him to back him up. And he's like he's even talking about, he's in his fourth year. He's saying that he's still got a lot to learn. It's starting to slow down for him, and he's in his fourth year. So it's I think he can. I definitely think he can, but I also understand with Jimmy on the roster, like it makes sense why Jimmy's playing right now. And I do think Trey Lance could have done what Jimmy Garoppolo could do, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have the rookie kind of marinate a little bit. I really don't. Let's see what else we got. So, what are my thoughts on signing someone like Jeff Gladney? Jeff Gladney was one of my favorite prospects coming out of his draft class. My favorite wide receiver was CeeDee Lamb, and my favorite cornerback prospect was Jeff Gladney. I wasn't a big CJ Henderson guy. I didn't think CJ Henderson was that great, or at least as great as everyone else made him to be. I know he has a lot of fans and all that good stuff, and could be a potential trade candidate for the 49ers. But out of those two guys, Henderson and Gladney, I went with Gladney. I really liked Gladney's physicality. I thought he was a good cornerback at TCU. The only problem is Jeff Gladney got into some trouble. Jeff Gladney got into some trouble, and he like legal trouble. And to the point, that's why he got cut. He's a first-round draft pick. He got cut. So I don't know. I would talent-wise in a vacuum, if we're just evaluating football talent, Jeff Gladney is already on my team. He's already on the roster. He wouldn't have cleared waivers. He would have been on my squad. But again, he's not on a team right now because of the off-field stuff that he's going through. Like he got some serious stuff going on off the field. So Brian Poole, I wouldn't have minded. He was actually someone that I was like kind of thinking about back in free agency as like a low cost depth piece. I wouldn't mind Brian Poole. He would fit in. He could also play slot cornerback for us as well. So yeah, all that good stuff. Let's see. I'm a little behind here. Catching up. Sourdough Squad, we see you. I definitely think the defense still played well. They at the end of the day, they still played okay. But I started going back and watching some of the tape today, and really starting to dive into it. And you could see there's opportunities for them to play better and do some things a little bit better, play proper technique, play the proper spacing. And I see simple things with guys just playing wrong half of the man and shooting too far outside their responsibilities. Simple things like that. We can clean up. That's not the hard part. Let's see. Honestly, you didn't miss much. So this is going to be a light one. I'm on here late. So what we're essentially doing is just ask me a question. We're going to, if a topic hits, we'll stick to it. So it's kind of a definitely big interactive show. You guys can absolutely drive where we're headed with this conversation today. So I'm just kind of scrolling through, seeing what you guys are talking about, pulling stuff up, and we're going to attack it. We could talk about absolutely the most random things today because the sourdough gang, bang, bang, sourdough gang. Let's go. I think that was the first time I've ever seen it like that. I like that. So this is going to be an important question for fantasy folks, right? Obviously, if you were lucky enough, if you're in redraft, there's probably 100% chance Elijah Mitchell was on your waiver wire. There's no way that anyone was rostering Raheem, Sermon, and Mitchell. It was a mad dash to the waiver wire. You either had to be high in your priority or you had to spend a lot of free agent budget on him. That's what I did. I got Mitchell in both my redraft leagues. I have him in probably half of my dynasty leagues. So he wasn't on. If you're playing dynasty, he's not on your waiver wire. He's on a team. So you're kind of crap out of luck there. But if you had him, you're feeling pretty good. And if you didn't, you're feeling pretty bad. Because there are some, I thought I had him in almost all my leagues. And I went through and I was like, oh, dang, I don't got him in this one. And I don't got him in that one. I was like, damn, that sucks. But in regards to who do I think is going to get the most carries, I think it's Mitchell. I mean, clearly, Kyle Shanahan is basing playing time and snaps not necessarily on where you were drafted, how much you were paid, what you've done. It feels like you have to earn it. And by all accounts, Elijah Mitchell clearly earned those carries against the Lions. And once he got those carries, he did quite a bit with it. So I would have to imagine that trend continues. I'm going to have him starting in a bunch of my lineups. I imagine he's going to be in that 15 to 20 touch range. That's including receptions. So I imagine Sermon gets some run too. I imagine especially kind of in short yardage areas. I want to see Sermon and how he holds up in pass protection. Things like that. So with Trey Sermon, it's too hard to project right now. Hasty clearly has a role as our third down back, I would say. Hasty showed on a couple plays. He had a really nice blitz pickup. So that back shoulder throw to Deebo Samuel that turned into I think it was a 79-yard touchdown. Hasty had a really good block on that play. What the Lions did is they ran a stunt on the defensive line. The shaded defensive tackle over Laken Tomlinson shot inside, and as he shot inside, he grabbed Lincoln, so Lincoln couldn't pass him off and go get one of the blitzers coming into the B gap. So they double occupied the A gap and they brought a guy around into the B gap. Because the defender crashed down on Lincoln and locked Lincoln in, he couldn't escape to get the blitzing backer. JaMychal Hasty was able to step up into the A gap, put enough of a shoulder into him. Now, it wasn't like an insane block. He didn't like stymie him at the line of scrimmage, but he got enough of a shoulder into him to allow Jimmy Garoppolo to step into the throw, and that turned into the 79-yard touchdown by Deebo Samuel. So with JaMychal Hasty, he's shown ability to play as well. I like Hasty in the third down role, Mitchell on base downs, Sermon. We'll see how he fits in. But I would have to imagine Elijah Mitchell is going to be leading so far. I would imagine Aiyuk plays on Sunday. How do you feel about my team, my fantasy teams? I feel good, but they didn't perform super well. Like, it was very split. I had some teams do like really well, and then some teams just like really not do well. So it's definitely going to be a process to see which lineup is the best. What's up, Coach? You like having two QPs. Most teams don't. I would rather have clarity at the quarterback position. I'm not worried about the backup. It's nice knowing that we have Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, but at the same time, it does feel like it creates a lot of conversations that we wouldn't be having if there was only one like true starter on this team. So it's interesting, but it does give a level of security in a sense, right? We did talk about Trenton Cannon. Talked about that I liked him as a player, liked what he is capable of, all that good stuff. I'm clearly way behind, though, on these questions. Let's see. Let me just scroll up. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. But in regards to Trenton Cannon, in regards to Kerryon Johnson, I don't see them playing anytime soon. We have the three backs that we need. So the only time that I really see them getting in is if there's more issues. What the heck, Coach? Coach says, okay, topic. If you go over to her crib after the club and you see another man's razor in the bathroom, you staying to finish the job or you leaving? Oh my goodness, Coach. This is a family show, you dog. You dog. Yeah, this is a city boy. I know what he's doing. I'll tell you what Coach is doing. Coach is taking care of business. Coach is a city boy. Coach knows why he's there. If he's over there, if he's at the crib after the club, he's there to do one thing. And so we know what Coach is doing. Coach is a city boy. Facts. We already know. We already know. And we know what city boys are doing in that situation. Oh, what a question, Coach. What a question. Oh, man. Great point. Great point. What if she just uses a male razor? Coach, you could be making assumptions off of maybe nothing. Oh, good stuff. Great 49ers content. Great 49ers content. This is something that I'll definitely be looking for. I want to see D'Amico Ryans, see what type of adjustments he makes this week. Like I said, I'm still getting through the tape right now. And so far, like I said, you can see guys playing a little bit out of alignment, not holding their gap responsibilities. Like one of the examples was DJ Jones. I think it was one of the first plays of the game where they just gashed us right up the middle. He was playing in the 3 tech, and he kind of took like an inside kind of step, um, kind of towards the A gap, and Penei Sewell just came in and just cleared him out, and it just opened up a massive hole. So things like that, I just want to be more stout so we're not getting washed out and creating massive holes and running lanes for the other team. Don't want that, right? We don't want that. Not exactly something that we want. Is Kinlaw going to play? I don't know. Based on one of the quotes that I read about Kinlaw is that it does not. This sounds like a long-term thing. I think Kyle was talking about it today. He had referenced when he had got hurt, which was in the Cowboys game of 2020. After that game, he had to head to IR. They cleaned it up in the offseason, but since that time, Kinlaw has been having, it appears to be flare up after flare up after flare up. Again, he was a limited participant in most of training camp. He really didn't play that much at all, really, because of the knee. And then on top of that, it continues to be an issue. Like, I think it continues to flare up on him. I think it continues to swell. I think it continues to amass like fluid. I think they have to keep draining his knee. So it's just something that you don't want to rush. You don't want to rush Javon Kinlaw back. Javon Kinlaw is a massive human being. That those knees take a lot of pressure. I know as a football player that had to deal with some knee issues. Uh, they last, they linger, and they get re-aggravated really easily, like annoyingly easy. Like there's so many times when you're like, oh, my knee's good, like we got it, like I did all the work I needed to do, like it's back, it's rehabbed, and then all of a sudden you just plant weird. You just, you take one of your cuts and it just like, and you're same situation all over again. So it's just a tough thing. I don't know the exact diagnosis of what type of knee he's dealing with, but it is something that we need to monitor. And I don't know if he's going to play this week. I don't know if I want him to play this week. TriStar says, I doubt Kinlaw plays this week. Yeah, this is one of the things that I was watching too, Sean. This is a great point. Our D linemen weren't occupying space. They weren't occupying space to the point to allow our linebackers to freely flow to where they needed to. We were playing right into their hands in regards to how they wanted to block it up. And so those are the types of things, the in-game adjustments. Again, I don't know if D'Amico's on the field, if he's in the box. I don't know what his view is. I would like to think if I wanted to be the best offensive coordinator or best defensive coordinator, I would want to be calling plays from the box. It's a hard situation because you can't. It's a lot harder to coach up on the sideline. Like it's a lot harder to like be up in the box, and you can't grab one of your guys and be like, what were you thinking on this play? Why do we do this? This is the adjustment that we need to be making. This is the assignment. Like, it's a lot easier in real time when you're on the field. But when it comes to like a schematic and like seeing the field and how we need to clog up the lanes and the holes and the areas, I'd be in the box. So we'll see. The coach, coach says Kinlaw might be a Mostert situation. They keep draining and cleaning it out in hopes it'll bounce back. They may have to shut him down for the year to really heal it. What's clear is it's not going away. Yeah, I think this is one of the hardest things about the Kinlaw situation. Like I was talking about, those knees, especially when they're aggravated, and keep getting aggravated is a sign that they aren't right and they're not healthy, and they're just going to kind of keep bugging you and keep nagging at you, and also opens up the door for potentially more injuries, uh, more severe knee injuries. So it's just a slippery slope with the knee situation. So with 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 everything though, I would prefer to keep Kinlaw more on the sideline than trying to force him out there at this point. I would just rather try to play the long game. It's a long season. This is a marathon that we got ahead of us. So I would just rather put him like, I don't know if we're talking IR yet. I don't know if I want to have that conversation. Again, IR could be just 3 weeks. If that's what it takes to get him better, then let's do it. I'd rather get that time taken care of now rather than later. You know what I mean? But to your point, Coach, yeah, I don't know if it's going away anytime soon. That's just something that we're gonna have to deal with for for some time. I think it's gonna be one of those things throughout the year. It's gonna be one of those things that we're gonna have to manage and be smart about him playing and where he plays and how much usage he gets. Like, it's going to be, I think, a real snap share, snap count type situation with Kinlaw pretty much for the majority of the year. Biggest concern as an Eagles fan. Well, welcome, Eagles fan. Welcome indeed, Dank Burrito. I like your name. Biggest concern as an Eagles fan is Bosa and the run game. Well, this is one of the things that I'm starting to key in on with the Philadelphia Eagles is I'm actually starting to get worried about the Eagles offensive line myself. Like, because again, we saw Penei Sewell. He did pretty well against Bosa. All right. For his first game as a rookie, all things considered. Now, it was Bosa's first game since recovering from an ACL. He barely practiced all preseason, did not participate. He barely practiced in training camp, didn't participate in preseason. But Mailata, your left tackle, that boy is a dog. Like, that boy, like, I've only seen a couple clips, but it's enough to pull his traits. Like, I could pull a trait profile off of the like 3 or 4 clips that I've seen of him in pass protection, in the run game, and all that kind of stuff. And he is a freak. Like, he could. Again, I still need to watch a whole lot more of him, but like the trait baseline, like he's got like some of those like Trent Williams traits where you're like, how do you move like that when you're that big? Like, he's 6'8", like he's not a small man. He was savage as a rugby player. And you can see that translate the bend, the pass set technique, the strength, all of it. He's got the balance, like, and that's what we always talk about, why it's not always beneficial to be a huge offensive lineman. Like, it is not always beneficial to be the size that Mike McGlinchey is, because if you're kind of more of a stiffer guy, it's actually a disadvantage to you. But with Mailata, he is not stiff. Like, he is very flexible, and he can really get that bend in his pass set and the depth and to drop his hips, and like, I'm concerned about him to be quite frank with you. He's good. Lane Johnson's good. Kelsey's good. even the left guard, Samulio, I believe he is his name. He looked pretty good. So, I mean, it's not going to be the same offensive line that we faced last year when the Eagles came into Levi's and beat us last year at home. You guys remember that? The Eagles came in and beat us at home last year with an extreme, like 2020 was a hard year. 2020 was a hard year, but we had a better team at that point in time, in my opinion, than the Philadelphia Eagles. We got beat by essentially Carson Wentz alone. But it's interesting that his biggest concern as an Eagles fan is Bosa. My biggest concern as a 49ers fan is Mariota. So that makes for a really, really solid matchup. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes on top out of that. Really interested to see how D Ford does against Lane Johnson. I think that will be a situation that we would like to see as well. Oh, what do we got from Coach? Coach says, Brad, stop it. He said Sewell had all game and got put out the club multiple times. We O-line guys, bruh. I'm disappointed in you. Technically, we struggled big. What are you saying? What are you saying? Are you saying Sewell did not play well? I thought Sewell had a decent game. I was literally, like I said, I'm watching it right now. I'm watching it right now. I'm still diving into it. But Sewell, again, I expected Sewell to struggle a lot more. So he definitely did pretty darn well considering him going up against Nick Bosa. And I don't know if he ever went up against D Ford. Like I said, I'm still going through it. But don't be disappointed in me. Technically, we struggled big on the D line, is what you're saying. That's what I'm understanding properly? Yeah, I would say like we didn't perform as what we wanted to, which again then plays into Sewell having a better game than I anticipated because he did block up. There was one particular play where Bosa tried to grab his wrists and then he tried to bull rush. He got one wrist, got his hand into Sewell's chest, and Sewell was able to immediately drop his hips and anchor and stop Nick Bosa's bull rush. And I was like, oh, I said, I like that. I like that. So that could be your opinion, but I will give respect when it is due. And Sewell had a much better game than I anticipated. He struggled against us. Like I said, I only recall the one sack that Nick Bosa had where it was a bull rush, and he actually Sewell tripped on Goff's foot, and then Bosa threw him down, ran and chased down Bosa and got the sack. But Coach, like I said, I'm in the middle of rewatching it all right now. I will definitely be on the lookout for this if you're saying that, because I don't think it was that big of a discrepancy. I don't think he struggled that bad because I'm already I forget how long into it I'm in. And again, to tell you how I watch tape in the trenches first. I'm trenches out. So if I'm watching the offensive line, I watch the left tackle rep, rewind it. Left guard rep, rewind it. Center rep, rewind it. Right guard rep. So I'm watching each person on the line individually, so I can each get their own individual context to then put it on a linear timeline to understand what everyone's doing. And so far, I've watched a handful of Sewell reps, and he did pretty well. So, Maxim saying Sewell ranked 11th tackle of the league with a grade of 75.6 as per PFF. PFF is very subjective when it comes to offensive line grades. It's really just I'll essentially entertain their grades when it fits my narrative. But understanding how they gather the data, understanding how they evaluate and grade these offensive linemen, I really do not pay too much attention to the PFF grades because, like I said, I know how they gather that information, and I don't understand how they could get how to unless you understand offensive line play, unless you like are a offensive lineman, a former offensive lineman, you've coached offensive line, and you're grading offensive line play. That's the only way would think that you could give me an accurate grade, but that's not what's happening. It's just random people like watching, like trying to get a break. All the people that are grading are trying to get their foot in the door at PFF and are essentially like doing it for free. And I don't know. I just don't trust. I just don't trust their O-line grades very much. But if he did rank 11th, I guess it stands for something. But like I said, I still think he had a better game than coach is giving him credit for. I mean, I got it on right now. I'm repping. You know, I'm repping the O-line always. You know, I'm repping. Let's see what we got. Yeah, well, I kind of agree with that. I think it's the same situation. Like Bosa gets held a lot. Like there was a couple plays where I was screaming at the TV, like, "Where's the flag?" Because you can see what happens is the linemen, they're trying to grab right here, like, and just not let go. That's how they hold. They hold in here. Holding in here is acceptable. It's when your hands get stuck outside and you see them grabbing the jerseys out here like this. That's holding. And what was happening is Bosa's really good at like ripping away from that and trying to disengage from because that's how O linemen win. And what you see a lot against Bosa is a lot of this. Like him escaping the block, but they're always holding him, so it always looks like he's getting yanked in a million different directions. So yeah, with Bosa, he's going to get hold because he's really good at disengaging from blocks. And so when he's disengaging, it creates a separation, which makes it look like a hold a lot more. But I would really like that you can key on it. You can key in on that as a ref and be like you could see that and throw the flag and be like, they're clearly holding. So, let's see. You have Sermon, Mitchell, and Hasty in a deep 12-man, 2-flex non-PPR league. So a standard league. Sermon or Hasty for my final flex spot. Oh, my gosh. That is a tough question. That is a really tough question because, again, the biggest question lies in Sermon and usage. We have a pretty good indication that he will be active and will be available to play. But Hasty played like we were talking about earlier. Hasty played really well pass as a pass blocker. He played really well in a goal line situation. I talked about the touchdown run that he had, which was him. That touchdown was him. It could have been a tackle for loss, but he made the correct read and he made an insane cut to allow that touchdown to work. So I don't know. I don't know if Sermon's in the doghouse. There's a lot of rumors floating around about missed curfews. So I don't know. Kyle is unpredictable. It's really hard to predict. I would want to know what other options you have. If you had other options outside of Sermon or Hasty, I'd probably look there. Because again, I don't know who he's going to favor in the goal line situation. It's going to be one of those guys. It's going to be Sermon or Hasty. I just don't know which one. My gut feels like I would probably go Sermon, but I don't feel confident about that. I don't like you by going with Sermon, you're taking a bit of a risk because you don't know. You're trying to project the unknown. So I like Sermon. I feel like Sermon has a bit of a redemption game, but he very well could not. So I don't know. It's a hard one. That's a hard one. That's a predicament to be in. Like I said, I would even be looking for other options, or at least see what my other options are. Um, Real life isn't like Madden. Bosa is supposed to have 8 sacks a game. I still think Bosa has some time. Bosa's in ramp up mode. I don't think people understand that either. It's like Bosa isn't Bosa right now. Like Bosa's still going to get better. I would say by week 3 or week 4. Week 3 or week 4 is when we see Bosa. Like we see like him being in game shape, uh, all of that. I think that's when Bosa really settles in and picks back up. Because again, he didn't practice a lot. He did not practice a lot. They've been very careful with him. All that stuff. I believe this is how good was our O line. Like I said, I think I'm about a quarter in of studying the tape, and our O line is so damn good. I'm getting so excited watching it. That's exactly what I'm doing right after this. Right after this, I am going to get back to the tape and just keep scouting because I love this offensive line. Daniel Brunskill so far has not made a mistake. He has played, it's only been a quarter, right? But he has not made mistake-free football. Mistake-free football from Daniel Brunskill. Absolutely love it. Like technique wise, angles, placement, where he's shooting his head, like all of it, timing. There's this one play where they're on the right hash. He had a linebacker probably to his outside shade, but it was a zone left, and they run the zone left. Linebacker keys on it and is instantly on his track east west. And you see Brunskill just get on his horse and probably run 15 yards diagonally to cut off the angle from the linebacker, get on the linebacker and turn him. And it's on the backside of the play. It is not a huge impact to the play, but as someone who's an offensive lineman and knows, like, those things are like, coaches love that. Like if I'm a coach, like, and I'm watching Brunskill on the backside, like get to a backer screaming east west about 15 yards down the field to then get on him, engage, and turn him. I'm hyped. I'm like, your block had nothing to do with that run being successful, but I saw everything you did. I saw your effort. I saw it all. Good job, Brunskill. Alex Mack, I think is absolutely what we needed on this offensive line. We needed all offseason. This is what I was saying. We needed Brunskill back at right guard. Brunskill playing at center was such a hard thing for him to do and execute, and it was affecting the rest of our line. And it was a really difficult situation last year. So I think for him to be able to go back to right guard, him and McGlinchey have gelled. Like you can see it. You can see it after the play. Like you can see when they double to backer or they double, they're always communicating. They're looking back at each other. They're talking to each other. Like McGlinchey and Brunskill are gelled. Just like I think of Langston Tomlinson and Joe Staley. Those two were gelled. I'm starting to get that sense from Brunskill and McGlinchey on that right side. And that, I think, connects our entire offensive line together. And it makes me really, really excited. Was our O-line that good or were they that bad? So, okay, I can answer this question. I think that's a good question because I don't think they were that great. I really don't. Jamie Collins didn't look as good. I would say he was their best defender. He didn't look that great. Bunch of no-namers on that defensive line. But again, you can only play who's in front of you. And the biggest part about this is that offensive line, at least from what I've seen up until this part, they did not beat themselves. They did not beat themselves. So that's half the battle. Half the battle is just not beating yourself. Half the battle is executing your proper technique, hitting your proper angles, hitting your proper hand placement, head placement, like everything. Like you still got to do your job. These are still NFL players. So that's still one of the biggest takeaways. And the fact is, when a good O line faces a subpar defensive line, that's what it should look like. That's what it should look like. It should be like the seas are parting, hats are constantly on heads. Like everyone was blocking well. Kyle Juszczyk was dominating in the run game. Uh, both the tight ends were having like it was. That's why I'm so excited to get back into the tape, because it's like teach tape. It's like teach tape. Yeah, that might lend into the D line not being as great, but again, you still have to perform as an offensive lineman. And someone like Brunskill, where they drafted a second round guy out of Notre Dame. Brunskill's a freaking tight end, man. Brunskill played tight end at San Diego State. Like, this dude is now a legitimate starting right guard in the NFL. Like, because that was the question. That was the conversation all throughout training camp. Once they drafted it, Aaron Banks, it's like, oh, he's going to be the right guard. He's the guard of the future, all that kind of stuff. But it's like Brunskill is, and that plays into what he did. Like the execution, the working together in tandem with both Alex Mack and Brunskill. Like, his ability to go sideline to sideline is super underrated and super beneficial in this outside zone scheme. So, yes, their defensive line, not the best. Their front seven in general, not the best. But you still have to perform as an offensive lineman. You still have to hit your assignments, and you still have to play assignment sound football. And so far, like I said, I'm not all the way done. I'm about a quarter into it. But a quarter into it, like I said, of how I tell you I watch the game, I watch multiple reps at each offensive line position. I want to watch everything. I want to know if it was a trip or not a trip. Because, for example, on that play where Jermichael Hasty scored the touchdown, Mike McGlinchey actually didn't do his best job possible, because he got blown up a little bit. He's blocking down. He's taking his own step to the left. And so if you're taking your zone step to the left, one of your key responsibilities as an offensive lineman running on your track is you can't have pressure across your face. So if you're a zone offensive lineman and you're running zone left, so you take your zone, taking your zone steps, it's literally 3 steps. It's your first step to get you at like a 45-degree angle. Your first step, your second step gets you back on track, and your third step gets you going. And that's really all zone footwork is for offensive linemen. And so what happened is that defensive lineman created almost immediate interior pressure, and he crossed McGlinchey's face. And so what you have to do in that situation is you have to try as an offensive lineman to squeeze these dudes down and not let them get that interior pressure, because that then transfers to Jermichael Hasty in the play that Jermichael Hasty made. Jermichael Hasty made a fantastic play because he read that block. He read the instant interior pressure from the right. It was a zone left. So what Jermichael Hasty did, the second he got the handoff, he took one step, stopped his momentum, and reset his track to the right, then which allowed McGlinchey the proper like leverage and positioning, and that defensive lineman tripped. And so then it turned into a beautiful looking pancake. And I almost posted it, but I was like, it's more of a play. I think it was more indicative of what Hasty did. It was great for Mike for sticking with the block and doing what he could do in that situation. But it was Hasty cutting to the right that really made that whole situation work. Excuse me. I love talking about offensive line play. Let's go. I love talking about offensive line play. I could talk about offensive line all day. Let's go. With D-line being so deep, what are reasonable expectations for the secondary without cornerback one? I think it's all based on pressures. It's all based on pressures, man. Like, we got to get pressure on the quarterback. We got to move the quarterback off his spot. I think that's the biggest goal for this D line. If this D line can move the quarterback off their spot, meaning 3 or 5 7-step drops, and they drop their back foot, they do their hitch, and they're looking to let that thing rip. We got to move them off that spot, whether that's stepping up, stepping to the right, stepping to the left, because whenever we move the quarterback off their spot, we have someone else typically there, whether it's Eric Armstead, whether whoever it is. We typically have other guys waiting when one initial guy creates pressure. So I think that's the biggest thing. And how that translates into the cornerbacks is we got one rookie, Diamador Lenore, trial by fire. Emmanuel Mosley is a good cornerback, but he's got to get on the field right now. So we could be looking at a situation with our cornerbacks being, I think K'Wan Williams got a little dinged up. I mean, it could be a situation where our starting cornerbacks next week are Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas, maybe. Do they give it to Ambry? I don't know. I don't know if they feel confident in Ambry. Maybe Josh Norman. God, that's the crazy part. That's where we're at. We don't even know who our other starting cornerback is if Emmanuel Mosley goes down. Like, that's a little terrifying. D Virgin, I believe, is on IR. I may be wrong, but yeah. So it's just it's an interesting situation there at DB. Very interesting. Let me see here. I'm super behind on the comments today. Crazy how Mostert and Kinlaw got mad at the media because they said they were injured and now one is shut down. So I think this is the biggest thing when it comes to this kind of narrative. Players are going to get really upset when you mention or potentially speak out of turn on an injury. Our fan base famously does not handle injuries well. And as you've seen with the stuff that's hit Mostert, we let our players know that we don't like that they're injured, and we tell them that that they suck because they're injured. So it brings a lot of negative energy when reporters are trying to make assumptions. Like, for example, the Mostert got upset because he reached for his back and he went out one play, and a reporter, a fantasy football doctor, did an entire segment on what back issue could have happened when he had no information. This could be a lingering back issue. So it just brings up a lot of conversation that I really don't think they like. All that kind of stuff. I see you guys trying to get those likes up. I appreciate it. We'll get there. we're just a middling little page right now. We'll get those views up. I appreciate you guys doing that work, though. I do. I really do. So this is going to kind of back to the offensive line discussion about, well, was it a good offensive line or was it just a really bad defensive line? Both things can be true. Could have been a really good offensive line performance on top of defensive line not having the best talent. But what we need to look for this next week is all about the trenches. It's all about matchups in the trenches. They have a really solid defensive line. Philadelphia has a really solid offensive line. This has the potential, if we're not creating pressures, back to that previous question, if we aren't creating pressure on the quarterback with our defensive line, it's a long day. Hurts could potentially really dice us up if we're out there with, we don't even know who our starting cornerbacks would be at this point. So I don't know. Yeah, like I'm nervous. I'm nervous about our matchup in the trenches. Like I think it's going to be our first real test of the year for sure. Um, yeah, I saw this play. Aiyuk was used to take the pressure off the top for Debo Samuel over the middle. It kind of feels like Shanny is disappointed in him when he was in. I don't. Yeah, there's something going on. There's something going on. Just go look at the body language today from the practice clips. That's all you need to know. Look at the narrative. Go look at the body language from the practice clips. There's something going on, but that's as far as I want to talk about it. But to your point, I know exactly what play you're talking about. Aiyuk was doing a big old deep crosser over the middle. He was double covered. He took his guy and the safety with him because, again, that's how good of a player he is. He's that good of a player that the second he steps on a field or runs a deep route, he's getting clamped. He's getting double covered. They're throwing the defense at him because it's Brandon Aiyuk. They know how talented he is. So what is going on right now? It definitely seems like it's not a talent issue. Like that's why I don't love the comments that Kyle made today. It seemed a little bit like they didn't need to happen. Um, but that's where we're at now. So would love for Aiyuk to bounce back big time. NFL should ban turf. They just need to make sure it's level. I don't have a problem with turf. I played on turf my entire career. I actually played on grass less than turf, and anytime I played on a natural field, it was terrible. So maybe I just didn't play on the best natural fields. But I played on so much artificial turf my whole career that I wouldn't be able to tell you like it's not any good. Like I don't feel like I can ever look back to a situation how many downs of football I've ever played on turf and it caused me an injury. So I'm not ready for that conversation yet. However, you go back and you look at someone posted a video from the tunnel at MetLife Stadium when it was pouring rain to the point where the field was flooding. So there was water on the field, but because there was water accumulating and flooding the field, it showed you how uneven that field was. There was literally it was the field was flooded and then there's just this bubble. There's just bubble. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like that is bad. Like that's bad. Like that is bad." So, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, this is going to be something that we're going to have to follow. Like it's clear that this isn't an injury situation. There's something going on here. Again, we always say it: where there's smoke, there's fire. We've connected enough dots to understand, like, yeah, there could be an injury thing that is contributing to this, but there is also something else that is contributing to Ayuk. Like again, as someone who is big on scouting, um, I'm big on scouting body language. I'm big on scouting body language. Like when I was at the Seattle and I was scouting those prospects, I'm watching in between snaps. I'm watching after snaps. I'm watching before snap. Body language matters. Body language matters. So that's a big part of it. And you could tell his body language was down. His body language was down. And all that kind of stuff. So it's something that we're gonna hopefully it goes away after this week. I think that's one of the things that I'm really hoping for, that Brandon Aiyuk gets a little bit more opportunity next week, a couple more targets, get the train rolling in the right direction. I think it right now it's headed down a really crappy path, and I think a really strong way to kind of get it back on track is let's have a good game. Okay, well, maybe we split still. Like, even if they still split, Trent and Aiyuk split, let's get Aiyuk some care. Let's get Aiyuk some touches. Let's get Aiyuk some touches. Let's get him in maybe a handoff on an end around. Let's get him a nice, easy slant to pick up 5 to 6 yards. Let's hit him a bubble screen. Let's do all that kind of stuff. Let's get him involved. Let's give him some opportunity. Give him a chance to get out of this situation. He's in a situation. It feels real. Like I think the people that have sought out the information, again, you have to go find it with this Aiyuk thing. You have to go find it. And you have to connect the dots yourself. But once you do that, you kind of see. This isn't our first rodeo. We've been here before. So the biggest thing is to see him bounce back. I want to see some involvement. I want to see some involvement. Again, it's really tough, man. It's really tough when you're seeing a guy at practice. Again, there's multiple clips. You got the first clip when they're doing their warm-up line. You got Deebo Samuel dancing. You got Sanu dancing. You got Jennings dancing. And then you see Aiyuk, who has been a big dancer. He's 2020 pregame. This dude was always dancing. This dude's a dancer too. So it's not like he's an all business. Like with Trent Sherfield, I don't see Trent Sherfield dancing too much. But with Brandon Aiyuk and what we've seen from him in the past, he is a dancer. He does all he gets hyped. He does all that too. But he wasn't doing that today. In fact, he was like, he just didn't feel like he wanted any part of that. And which is fine. But then there was that one drill that Barrows posted. The first two guys up were Trent Sherfield and Deebo Samuel. Typically, again, if you've played football, the guys who lead off individuals are typically the leaders of the group. I would say literally 95% of the time. Like there's not very many opportunities where leaders are not leading off those groups. So again, what's Coach saying here? Coach is saying Aiyuk needs to earn his opportunity, Brad. Facts. No shortcuts. Facts. The facts are Trent is outplaying him. Giving Aiyuk reps over him ain't right. Facts. If you're getting outplayed and not responding, that is what it is. I agree with that, dude. I've been in this situation myself, dude. I went through this situation. I went through a situation where my head wasn't right. I got benched. And that's exactly what they wanted me to do. They wanted to see how I responded. They wanted to see if I was going to fight through the adversity or not. So I would imagine that's kind of what's going on here. It's just kind of like a wake-up call. It's just kind of like, hey, guys, hey, Brandon, get your head right. Get your head focused on what we need to do. And here's a little kick in the butt, and let's get going. So I think that's absolutely potentially what could be going on. We all understand opportunity. Everything needs to be earned. And I think Kyle's done a pretty good job of at least appearing like he's going to give a fair shot to anyone. Again, we can't discredit Trent Sherfield through any of this. Trent Sherfield is been fantastic. He was fantastic all of camp, all that kind of stuff. So absolutely. So we'll see. It's just an interesting situation. It's definitely an interesting situation. We'll keep monitoring it. Like I said, what makes that go away is a nice performance on Sunday. What makes that go away is a nice performance. We get a nice performance out of Brandon Aiyuk. Everyone's happy. Everyone's fantasy team, every fantasy manager might be a little salty because they benched Brandon Aiyuk, but I'm okay with it. Let Aiyuk feast a little bit. Let's get him involved. and let's see if the narrative changes. Let's see if the narrative changes. What else we got? I hope so. I think that would be the best case scenario for everyone. I think that would be the best case scenario for everyone if we can just get him the rock. Just get him the rock on Sunday. Let's get like a dope play. Let's just get the boys right. Cuz we want the boys right. We don't want them in their heads. You know, we don't want them in that situation. So yeah, 100%. All the fantasy football owners are going to be upset, and that's fine. I don't care. I just want Aiyuk right. I don't want to see a guy who has visibly different body language. That's all. That's it. I just want to see a guy who feels like he looks like he's a part of the group, especially being who Aiyuk is and what we all expected for Brandon this year. So again, I hope he gets involved. I hope he gets the ball. I hope we can put this narrative to bed. And just instead of looking at it as a situation of like, oh, well, he's got to, if he wants to play every rep, he's got to play better. Or rather, we just have all these really good wide receivers, and we're going to do a really good job of rotating them in and giving everyone as much opportunity as possible. All these wide receivers and how we target them, it's going to be based on game flow. It's going to be based on matchup. That's fine. I think everyone can understand that. It's when you start saying things like, well, if he wants to play every down, he's got to play better than the person behind him, which is like, we know this as like, if you know anything about football, like if you're not playing better than the guy behind you, like you're not going to be playing for very long. That's just how it works. That's literally football. So we'll see. But with the matchup against Philadelphia, like I said, it could turn into a situation where it becomes a, like, I don't know, like I'm kind of also envisioning like it becomes a where like it becomes a passing game. Like it becomes a passing game, like where like the trenches are so like even essentially, where they're just like kind of pounding into each other. Not a lot of running lanes are being created. I don't know. It could turn to a passing game. We'll see, man. We'll see. How did I become a Niners fan? Well, I'm a Bay Area kid. I've always grown up in the Bay. My parents were 49er fans. And so like, you know, through family and whatnot, right? Like I think I was Joe Montana one year, like as a kid, and Halloween. But the real test came when I was when was this? It was early 2000s. The real test came around the early 2000s when my parents switched from Niner fans. Like they weren't like diehards. They're not diehards at all. So when they went from Niners to Raiders. My dad decided he liked John Gruden. He like, you know, and that's when they were winning, and it was like an easy transition because the Niners were trash at the time. And so he switched. And they tried to switch me. They tried to buy me autographs. They tried to buy me gear. They tried to buy me. Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it at all. And so I was able to actually stay the course. I stayed the course. They tried to flip me. I didn't acquiesce. I said, nope, I can't do it. I will not flip to the Raiders. And it's been great because all my friends, a lot of my friends are Raider fans. So it's just a great dynamic. Just we talk so much crap to each other. so much crap to each other. It makes it a lot of fun. Who is this G Money guy? G Money, who is you? What do you want? This dude's wilding. This dude wants all the attention. I'll give you the attention. I'll give you the attention, G Money. You want the attention? I got you. That's you. There you are. Look, there you are. Oh, right on the screen. Hey, G Money. My goodness. People are something else, I tell you. I've seen this video. I've seen the video of where people are trying to blame it on the turf. I don't know. You plant wrong, you get caught up. I don't know, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. So we'll see. We got today definitely got hijacked by more of drama stuff. And again, so like I'm a critical thinker. I'm a deep thinker. I don't take anything for face value. I don't look at anything and be like, "Oh, that's exactly how it is." Like, no, I'm a deep thinker when it comes to football, when it comes to everything in life. Like, it's just how I process. I don't know if that's because I have ADHD and I'm an ultra crazy processor. I just look at everything. Like, I try to look at things through different lenses. That kind of help me come to the things that I say and my opinions of how I see things. But what's going to be really interesting is to see how this dynamic transitions into next week. The biggest thing that I'm keen on against the Philadelphia Eagles is energy. Again, this is a trap game. This is our first. Detroit was a trap game. We didn't want to admit it. Philadelphia is absolutely a trap game. Again, going to the East Coast on the 10 a.m. window. Like, I don't like these guys are waking up like at like 5 o'clock in the morning, our time, to start getting ready for this game, to like get prepared to get onto the field. Like, they're out on the field 2 to 3 hours. They're out in the field about 3 hours before game day, 2 to 3 hours before the game kicks off. So it's early. That's early, man. They are early. It's at Philly. Philly is definitely going to be a raucous crowd. It's going to be, so the biggest thing I think is energy. Is how do we show up? Do we look flat? Do we look ready? Do we look like Brandon Aiyuk today in the warm-up drills, or do we look like Deebo Samuel today in the warm-up drills? Like, what do we look like? What does our energy look like? If we come out looking like Brandon Aiyuk in the warm-up drills today, we aren't going to do very well. But if we come out looking like, as a team, looking like Deebo Samuel, looking hyped, looking loose, looking ready to go, then it should be a good game. The problem is if we come out flat. Like, if we come out low energy, we come out just flat, it's going to be a very long Sunday. It's going to be a very long Sunday, and we're also kind of positioned into it being a toxic week after that. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, we won this week, but we seem to be talking about a lot of negatives. So the hope is to get back on track. In regards to talking points, in regards to how we're operating, all of those kinds of things. Got to get the energy back. Really didn't like the energy from the injury. So just want to see how they handle that going into Philly, where they're going to need it. It's a hard place to play. It's a hard place to play on the East Coast. Early window. Really, really easy to get caught slipping. So don't want that to happen. Just want to see the energy, all that good stuff. So hopefully that's where we're headed. I don't want to talk about Brandon Aiyuk. We are talking about Brandon Aiyuk in the sense that he is doing well. um, and that he is going to bounce back. And if he bounces back, then we're all very happy, because we're likely doing well. Because when Brandon Aiyuk plays well, we typically play well to at least do what we need to do. We need to execute and a high level of energy, and hopefully, we will be able to step our game up quite a bit. And I think they sense that. I think they sense that they're under the microscope right now. Um, Again, when you walk away with the win and the most of the fan base isn't very happy about it, got to take a look in the mirror, see what we can do, and come out better against Philly. So we'll see. Um, I think let's wrap it for today. I appreciate everyone who is watching. We appreciate trolls like G Money. Shout out G Money. Come back anytime, my guy. We appreciate all the sourdough squad. Usual coach Sean. I've been seeing Brian around a little bit. Perfect Q. I think this might be one of the first times I've seen you around here. Who else do we normally see around here? Um, bunch of new faces today. All that good stuff. All love, bro. Come back. We love you, man. We love you. Come through. Uh, Watch the 49er rush like the defensive line. Is that what we're talking about? Um, back. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see what we got. Tomorrow is a Thursday. Biggest for for us as we kind of move forward. What was that? Damn it. Well, we'll big three reports, practice reports, who's participating, who's not participating, um, all that stuff. So that's what we're looking at, and seeing who is one. Uh,